And here I am again. Hopefully this time around everything will work out okay. So what I was saying before I lost service or whatever was how while I was watching Trump give his speech, how the various political, not situations, but what do you call it?
Actions.
No, political, like the president and his cabinet, everything, how our lives have changed, how they had an effect on Pastor Joe and I. And when he entered the military, Reagan was president, right? I think Reagan was president when you joined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reagan was president in '80 to '88.
Right. So when he joined the military and we entered that system, Reagan was president.
Good for us.
Really good for us as military persons. Our benefits were good. Um, our pay was decent. I mean, it wasn't great. I can't even remember what you used to get.
More pay than I made as a lifeguard.
Right, more pay than you made as a lifeguard. So many hundreds of dollars a week and so on. And everything looked great. And then Reagan finished his terms, and Bush #1 got elected. And because he was a Republican, we were thinking, oh, this will be pretty cool. But soon after that, and I don't remember if it was under Bush 1 or Clinton, they completely changed the military medical system to be a privatized company, and that, terrible. Before that, when you were in the military, you just went to a military doctor at a military hospital. You all understood each other, spoke the same language as far as, uniform and travel and everything else. And Clinton was terrible for us. Clinton cut our benefits, he cut our pay raises. People entering when he was president didn't like the military. There was a lot of officers we saw who were just like really uptight all the time and totally stressed out. And so what I was thinking while Trump gave a speech was, how many people have the same ability to look back over, the span of time that we've been alive and watching politics and know how Trump is compared to the presidents who came before. I mean, I remember when Nixon was president. I remember when Robert Kennedy got shot. I remember Ford taking over when Nixon had to step down. And so I think we have a long memory, and hopefully you guys do too, of what your life was like under the various presidents. And I personally, we've been doing a lot better under Trump. We did have some, I don't even know how to, we had a small investment in a kind of, I don't even remember what it is right now, not a lot of money. I think it was a gold fund or something. Was doing terribly under Obama. Lost value under the last Bush. And then since Trump's been in office, it's actually gained enough to where it's worth what it was, what we paid for it. I mean, that's the kind of thing I use as a ruler to judge how well a regime, that's what I was thinking, a political regime is doing. And, how much retirement pastor gets. Is his retirement pay going up and down, or is it, staying the same, or what? Hey, Northwest Arkansas Prepper, shalom. Hello, Kraken. Chasing Life says she was so disgusted by Nancy P's childish display. She'd be ashamed and embarrassed for not only tearing up. Whoa. Hey, stop doing that. But for the face that she was pulling throughout the speech. Hey, Melina.
And who was she talking to?
Right, and who was she talking to? I agree 100%. I really do. If you look back at other State of the Union addresses, I don't know that anybody sitting behind the president was nearly as fidgety, and the faces she made, and also that block of people who wouldn't stand up, who were all sitting down during the whole thing, even when that Tuskegee Airman, he's 100 years old. Come on. He looks like a kind of a fun guy. And he
I was
served his
surprised
country.
at how great physical
Right?
shape
He
was
looked in pretty good shape for being 100. And some of those people still sat there after he was introduced. I mean, that's just disrespectful to his age, disrespectful to his position, disrespectful to
what
him.
he did.
Right, what he did, him risking his life for the country and fighting against Tuskegee Airmen was Nazi Germany, right?
I think so. They were also
Yeah.
all black, right?
Right, fighting Nazi Germany, and I think they had to go to France first, those guys, before they got to fight. I mean, it's a whole thing, and for those people to just sit there, so disrespectful. Or when President Trump was talking about benefits and things that he's been doing, and people in the audience are booing and yelling at him, I thought that was rude too, but I'm not saying that, that's probably happened before. So now the president is now said, if this House doesn't like you, they will trump up charges and attempt to impeach. It looks as though she was scolding someone. It was also gross or distasteful and honestly shameful. Right. I mean, even if she disagreed, you are in the Capitol, right? That's what they call it. The Capitol building where they all meet together. You're in there with a bunch of professional people. You have generals in that audience. You have lawyers. You have people with doctorates and things like that. People who have served their country for years and years, whether you agree with it or not. I mean, that's some. If you don't show some respect for them, you really aren't going to show respect for anybody. It's like being in a bank. You don't just go in a bank and scream and yell and make a mess. You act respectful. And those people last night acted like children, like high schoolers.
But America's doing that. I mean, remember how we were raised to go to a restaurant and how we raised our kids, and now you go to a restaurant, you see how people let their kids behave?
Can you hear Pastor? He said that's probably because of how we were raised. When we were raised, when you went to a restaurant and you brought your children, they had to behave themselves. They were not, your parents did not let you run around screaming and yelling and whatever. And when he and I go to a restaurant nowadays, there are kids running around barefoot. I mean, that's
Parents just let their kids run wild. There's
so
no
disgusting,
dignity.
right? The parents don't care. The parents don't care what the children are doing nowadays. Excuse me, and when you're brought up like that, like you have no limitations on your behavior, then you do things that are just, drives me crazy. Okay, Shalom John, Shalom C103. We have no moral compass. We tree bonsai is exactly right. The moral compass, we were talking about this after Shabbat this week. The moral compass has been allowed to go topsy-turvy. And so you have people being brought up in households where they're being told it's okay and right that mom has, 5 boyfriends and they're coming and going, and we've got drug deals going on in the kitchen. And I mean, mom's getting drunk at night or whatever. Dad doesn't live with us anymore. We don't respect dad. And they're told this is the correct way to be brought up. And so they think that's what it is until they get older and they meet other people's families and they learn that their family is not being brought up like other people's families. And then they get really angry. And then you get these, criminals who are just really mad at the world and don't mind going in and robbing a store or whatever because they were told when they were kids, this is normal. They need to be brought up in a 2-parent household. But we're way off topic. We are way off topic. So the whole reason I was saying that is because I wanted to hear from you all what you thought about the State of the Union. And have you seen, have you seen other presidents? Have you been alive and an adult and having to be responsible in other presidents' terms of office? And how was it for you? Like, was your life way better under Obama? Was it way better under Bush 2? Was it way better under Clinton? Carter? Man, I remember when Carter was president. What a mess.
Gas lines.
The price of sugar.
Every other day.
Right? The price of sugar shot up. I don't even remember why. something going on in the sugar producing nations south of us. And it went from like $2 for a 5 pound bag to 7 or 10 or $12. Uh, I forget why the gas thing happened either, but there were gas lines when Carter was president. You had to
OPEC.
OPEC, and what
I don't remember what they did, but it was OPEC.
yeah, OPEC was fluctuating the prices, and he wasn't strong enough to like try to rein them in, and so you could wait half an hour at a gas station before you went to work when Carter was president. And don't get me wrong, I'm not a hater on these men.
Hater.
Carter's a very nice person. He's someone who
He's
started
the best ex-president we ever had.
yeah, Habitat for Humanity, best ex-president we ever had. Just a really nice guy, but he was too soft as president.
He's a
We had
wuss.
the Iranians kidnap our citizens and hold them hostage for a while. I don't remember, a year and a half or something.
Until Reagan got
Until-
inaugurated.
Until
Then they let him
Reagan
go.
got inaugurated, and that's when they said, well, Reagan's going to spank us bad, so we better hand these guys back.
But we have U.S. SOCOM because of Carter, because of all his mess ups on Desert One with the Iranians.
U.S. SOCOM came out of Carter. All his Desert One mess ups brought around the U.S. SOCOM. But again, what did you guys think? And let me read your comments. I can't see a single comment on there.
Mortgages are 20% under Carter. I can't remember a good time. I'm 61. Oil embargo, LOL. Carter was weak, not respected. Housing prices and stock market are scary. Oh yeah, Reagan was awesome.
Right. I mean, before Trump got in office, the stock market had never been above 18,000, maybe
I
something.
don't know. I think you might be way off there.
No, because he said like it's gone up more than anyone ever thought it could go up under his administration, and he's right. It went over 20,000 for sure, and it's now at like 29,000. And so the economy. I mean, if you look back on Trump and when he was elected president, and how many people said, "Oh no way, there's no way is that guy ever going to get elected." He's a businessman. And he's a deal person.
And the United States is a corporation.
Right. Stop it. I mean, The Art of the Deal is his book, right? And so he knows something about deals, how to make them, how to push for what he wants, but also let the other person have something so that you can come to an agreement. And that's pretty important. And as a nation, as strong as our nation is, we don't want to, project ourselves as really weak because there are other countries in the world waiting for that and wanting to pounce on us. So we need to project a strong image, and to, as he's been reworking these deals and stuff, to push for things that are beneficial to us. Because the people who pay for all this legislation and trade deals and everything else, that government money is coming out of our pockets. That's our tax money. So it's important that our tax money is not just being thrown away on something, right? Because it's kind of a quarter of what we make, right? 30% of what we make is being taken to do things with. And I did not like a lot of what was happening with our tax money under some of those other administrations too. Capitalism works when you don't have a bunch of pseudo-Bolsheviks stealing everything that's not nailed down and strangling with regulation. Exactly. And I think the political scale, I don't mind it swinging a little bit one way or the other, because usually what happens is it settles back again to the middle somehow. I don't think there's... I don't think it's a deal breaker for, say, the greenie people to try to get legislation to make, cleaner burning fuels, or companies have to be responsible for the waste products that they make and whatever they're making. I think that's probably pretty smart. I think as a nation we should look towards even better solutions to those kind of problems so that we can be kind of sustainable, because we're kind of unique in the world in that we're a relatively new country. If you look at China's 7,000 years old as a country. Rome is what, no, more like probably 3 or 4 thousand years old as a country. And so some of the things that are still in their culture, they've had plenty of years to work out and figure out, all right, this is the best way for this to go, so we can keep on as a country. All right, let's see what you guys are saying. Get out of my head. I was thinking the same thing. The Kraken. What was the Act of 1871? I'd like to know. Which one was great for smuggling cocaine, also using Zapata oil to make cover so the ports
I think Clinton did his little fair
would
share
not
down
check
in
their
Mina.
boats? That's right. I think Clinton did his own fair share down in Mina, and let's not forget being Clintonized. Yeah.
Clinton lottery.
Yeah, the Clinton lottery, the Vince Foster effect, and now he's linked with Jeffrey Epstein.
They're all linked with Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh,
That's
but
not
they
a
have
liberal
pictures.
thing.
Yeah, but they have pictures of him with them.
Oh no, he was, but it was. They're all in that nastiness.
Right? Yeah, Clinton side. Somebody said. So, were you guys thinking that during that State of the Union? Because I certainly do think that our country seems to be stronger under Trump, and he has hit the ground running, and he's gotten all kinds of stuff done in the first 3 years. That's my impression. Arkansas. Uh-huh. What do you guys think? Oh, he keeps handing me these. This is the next topic. After you guys say what you think about the State of the Union and the fact that we all... Oh, that was another thing I wanted to say about good old Nancy Pelosi. As a senior statesman, she's what, 70-something years old, I think? Maybe 80?
She's definitely in her 70s.
Right? She should be more dignified. Good God, woman. I mean, it's my plan when I get 60 to start using my full name instead of a shortened version of it. And I fully intend to start being a whole lot more dignified and looking down my nose at people acting dumb and saying, young man, you need to shape up. Or young woman, you need to let the hem of your skirt down. Or whatever. I mean, I've been waiting a long time to be that person. And she should be super dignified. You know what I mean? She should have been alert, paying attention to what was going on in the audience. She should have been clapping for her for the different citizens that they introduced, the young girl who got the scholarship to the school she wanted, and the man who started the business, the construction business.
They hate America.
Right? I mean, the way she acted was like an 18-year-old brat, and it's just bad. I think she hurt her party. I really do. That's one of the things I tweeted last night was she just trashed her party.
Trump 2020, he won. Yesterday and today, he won.
Yeah. Oh. Hello, William H. Hello, Grandma Ginger's Farm. Grandma Ginger's Farm, you probably remember other administrations. Do you think Trump's doing a good job compared to them? Compared to them? Isn't Trump getting treated like McCarthy? A little bit. I mean, the point... The point about the McCarthy thing is McCarthy wasn't wrong. And the media and movies and TV shows make these snide comments about McCarthy and you know, he was chasing down communists and Jewish people and whatever. There were 2 communist spies who were also Jewish who were hung in the 20s. I forget their name.
Rosenberg, right?
Rosenbergs, exactly. I think it was Rosenbergs. And the people who were McCarthy was chasing down in the 50s were communists. And they were trying to enact, you know, communist values and affect workers and bring more of that communist ideology into the everyday life. And they were writing plays and movies and everything else about that kind of stuff. So McCarthy wasn't wrong. He was right in searching those people out and identifying them. And they got blackballed. I mean, they're lucky. Well, I won't say that. Let me just say this. He could have done even more. Things could have been worse than being blackballed for those people. And Hollywood is still that flavor now. Hollywood is still that very left leaning, agenda pushing, communist, socialist kind of place. I can't really
Grandma
follow.
Ginger Farm said, I remember several, and yes, Trump seems to be doing the best he can, being he is just a man.
See, there you go. And so the comments on Twitter that were so disrespectful and so mean and rude about Trump just shows me that this modern generation is not it's not being brought up correctly. They're not getting the political perspective they should have on his presidency and the effect it's had on the country. JP in Montana. I remember East Berlin in the 70s, took 3 tours of the city. It was gray and lifeless. Exactly. Communist regimes don't work. They're not good for their countries. They end up doing horrible things. Stalin and Pol Pot and Kim Jong-uns and all those guys just trash their country. It's a terrible system that doesn't work very well. And so, yeah. President Trump, campaign Trump, make America great again. President Trump, make Israel great. I mean, come on. He's decided to say that our embassy is going to be in Jerusalem, and Jerusalem is the capital of Israel.
Because they say it's their capital. They get to decide where their capital is.
Right, because the Israelis say it is, and everybody else puts theirs in Tel Aviv, right?
A lot of people do.
Yeah, a lot of people put theirs in Tel Aviv. As a Torah keeper, I mean, I have at least half of my views in agreement with them, and it's a hard place to be when you're God's chosen people and you're stubborn, rebellious.
Renee Stump said hello.
Renee Stump Shalom, bunch. I'm a stubborn, rebellious person, whatever.
No.
Yes. Westhold Forge. There you are. See, I hung on this long just for you. Hee hee. Welcome to the channel. Yeah, okay, and Pelosi should have acted better. I'm trying to act dignified. I'm 20 years younger than her. I'm a grandma. I've got a little silver in my hair, and I'm trying to act like a grandma. I don't want to act like a 20-year-old. I don't want to wear little teeny pink skirts and high heels and all that stuff.
Not
because
like you ever did.
there's a certain, well, you don't know.
I do know.
College, I used to, anyway, there's a certain gravitas that comes along with this silver hair, and the Bible talks about, you're supposed to be someone who can teach the younger people and so on. And I found it extremely interesting, tongue-in-cheek almost, where Trump was talking about one of those illegal aliens that was allowed in her state, who then went out and murdered a bunch of people. He was caught and released and just murdered people right and left and committed all these crimes. And here she is sitting, fiddling with her thing. Hey, hello, wake up. Your policies are killing your constituents. That can't be a good thing. I mean, I would not vote for her again were I in her district. Let me just put it that way. And I would not vote for any of those other people who were sitting there with the sour faces and wouldn't stand up for the Tuskegee Airmen, or
but the people who vote for them are just like them.
Or the colonel who came home from his deployment and was reunited with his family,
He
or
was
the
a sergeant.
or the sergeant, okay, or the little girl who got the scholarship to school. I mean, I'm sorry, I would not vote for a single one of those people.
Because they don't care. They're
But Sister Kate, you have a brain and you use it. Hello, Susan Bryant. Shalom. Well, yes, I try. Luciferians have control of the government by John Hushin. There certainly are some in there. Hey, Wendy Blank, shalom, Sister Kate.
Wendy Bank became a grandma this week.
So
First
happy I'm
grandchild.
able to catch the stream. Speaking of grandma, just became a granny this weekend. First grandchild. Never realized it was so warm inside. A blessing. It certainly is. Mazel tov to you. Congratulations. Yeah. When we became grandparents, I was like, okay, I probably should stop acting like I'm 12
Fast
too.
Mama said hi.
Right? I probably should start acting like a grandma a little bit. Try to be a little dignified. Shalom, Spaz Mama. Okay, so we've talked about that. Next topic. Pastor's been handing me these cans of soup. Cans of soup. Now, I want you to know I can make soup from scratch.
Yes, you can. Delicious soup.
I can make delicious soup.
I testify to that.
I haven't canned my own soup yet. There's no reason why I couldn't. I just haven't yet. It would probably make the most sense. But because of the Wuhan, and really, just all the things that may make food in a shortage, the African swine flu and the flooding in the Mississippi, and there's one other thing I can't remember.
Coronavirus.
Well, the coronavirus and all the things that come with it, food shortages could happen. Pastor had me go get a whole case of soup for if we get sick again, that neither one of us has to really cook. We can just pop open a can of soup and eat that. So
And if company comes, you can spread it on rice.
that's right. I mean, you can actually bolster it up too. When you take it out of the can, you can add your own broth and some more of your own vegetables. And I had to check, each.
Sasquatch is here. Shalom, Sasquatch.
Hey, Shalom, Sasquatch. I had to check the ingredients because sometimes the meat and potato soups would say meat and a potato and some sort of weird byproduct. And I'm like, nope, you're going back. If I have to, I'll put my own meat in that soup. I'm not going to eat the byproduct stuff. And then this is the picture that you saw for the live stream, and he handed me this too. A reminder that it's time to plant these things now for a lot of places. Peas are a very early seasonal vegetable. Kale. You can plant your garlic to be harvested in the fall. You can plant spinach, some lettuces, cabbage, broccoli, all those cold weather crops you can start planting now. Potatoes need to be in by St. Patty's Day, don't you know?
In here earlier.
Yeah.
This far south.
Yeah. St. Patty's Day, green. Mm-hmm.
It's wet though. The ground's really wet.
Yeah, it's really wet right here.
I have to raise beds.
I wouldn't plant potatoes right now. So
Ozarks Prepared said, "This is why I always feel like I need to eat after looking at your Instagram posts."
well, I don't always get to advertise what I'm cooking in videos. I'll say it every time. Anyone on the national political stage is owned by someone or something. Wes Holdford, you bring up a really good point. There's a movie out there called Charlie Wilson's War. And it had
Tom Hanks, right?
Tom Hanks and
It's a good movie.
Julia Roberts, right? And it's before the Afghanistan war. I think it's before.
No, it was in the when the Russians were fighting the Afghans.
Yeah, when the Russians were fighting the Afghans.
We were supporting the Mujahideen.
And we were supporting the Mujahideen. This woman, somehow she found out and she started to try to influence her local politician. And something I loved about her local politician, who was Charlie Wilson.
Unbought.
Charlie Wilson was unabashedly, not unbought, but doing exactly what his constituency wanted, right? You could, if you were from his area, you could call him up and say, hey, how about, helping out the dairy guys? And he'd be like, oh yeah, I'll do what I can for y'all. And you could call him up and say, I live in a city in your area and we need new sidewalks. All right, I'll get right on that. He was unabashedly bought by his own constituents. And I thought that makes sense. Not some
representative.
Right. He's a representative elected by those people to represent them. You know, not some big oil company or not Wally World. Although if you know Wally World is in your area, then I guess you would be influenced by them, but not influenced by you know somebody in California. He was unabashedly for his own people, and I could get behind that. I thought that was what representatives should be doing.
And fighting the commies.
It's not supposed to stop snowing until Friday. Look, Brussels sprouts will take that snow and laugh it off.
You can't plant in the snow.
6 inches. The Kraken.
Where's it at?
Where's you at? I just lost. What in the? Sorry. Holy schmoly! I was trying.
Ginger, ground here is still frozen, getting more snow all week.
I was trying to just look at my comments, and I completely got on a whole other page. Sorry.
Krakens in northern Colorado.
Northern Colorado. Well, you're probably in a little bit different planting area
Snow
than
here
we are.
tonight in northern Minnesota. No planting until June 1st.
No planting. Ugh.
You should move.
Or have a greenhouse. You know,
I don't
start
think you can plant in a greenhouse either this time of year.
or start container plants. You know, start the little bedding plants in your house. I mean, when
Paul
this.
Joe says we're having snow and freezing rain here in northeast Missouri. So are we here.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Okay. Fine.
Snow all week in Oregon. All next week in Oregon.
Shalom, am I prepper? Okay, then wait till first day to plant. But you should start planting. You should start planting
As soon as
things.
possible.
As soon as possible.
We're very far south.
Right. And the other thing about planting is, for me, it's stop and go. Like it's,
Housewife in the Woods only has a 107-day growing season.
oh my goodness, you definitely need a greenhouse or something like that.
Wendy Banks got an ice storm coming.
Ice storms. Ugh.
It's gonna be icy here tonight.
Greens are still going strong in the little greenhouse. Snow and ice on the way for us as well as through Friday. Planting is stop and go for us. It's really hard to squeeze it into our very busy days. And so what I've done is every time I have to walk out and see the goats, I'll plant a few things in the greenhouse area on the way or on the way back. And the next time I go down to the orchard, I'm going to plant down there too, because the orchard, we have the trees, but permaculture says it's good to plant things like peas or green beans or certain herbs around the trees. So I'm going to start getting on that.
Pepper wants to know what your thoughts are on getting draft animals on Shofar Mountain.
Ooh, I would love draft animals on Shofar Mountain. I would love a team of oxen, or
You'd like an elephant.
I wouldn't. If you want to donate an elephant that's trained like an elephant from Thailand and give it a new home here, I would love that.
Or water buffalo.
Or water buffalo. Especially if it's water buffalo that's already been trained to ride and plow. I would love a team of mules. I would love a team of draft horses who knew how to pull, because we have logs that could be moved.
We have Jack. Jack does what I tell him to do too.
The horses wouldn't work on gasoline. They'd be able to be fed by grass or mules or the water buffalo. There's rocks we could move. There's soil we could move.
We might get some donkeys.
If you gave me a draft animal, I would use it.
No.
Okay. Look at you saying no, you wouldn't. Yes, I would. I'm not using Jack right now because it's his.
I agree,
baby.
Kraken. 4-legged boats.
Someone else said draft animals can make more draft animals too. If you get a stallion and a mare, they sure can. And then you're sustainable. And they do so much work. Riding a water buffalo would be really great video. She could ride it right next to Pastor riding on Jack. When I was in the Philippines as a child, I would see people riding them and just steering them with that string tied to their toe. And it would go to a ring in the water buffalo's nose. And they would just move their foot. And the water buffalo would steer that way. Has anyone had any success with a kitchen scraps garden? All summer and fall, I haven't tried that, but his grandpa used to.
Mm-hmm. That's right. I forgot about that.
And he did okay. He had a lot of problem with rabbits. They may have been coming out there to dig up what he buried, but he would go out there with the kitchen scraps, dig a hole, and put it in there.
Yeah, he would. I forgot about that.
Right? And his garden was always quite good every year.
Our dirt's okay though now.
Yeah, our dirt's all right. I want to do the even bigger raised bed gardens like Reap What You Sow has. The ones are like waist high. The ones that Self-Sufficient Me does, because we're getting older. Um, we have considered yak and or mules as draft animals. Oh my gosh, would a pair of yaks be cute? Oh,
They die here.
I don't think they're very big. Not as big
They're
as
not
they
big.
look on camera.
They're not,
and
but they wouldn't do well in the heat.
It's too hot here. It's way too hot here for them. But oh my gosh, they'd be so cute. Or bison, really. But
Yeah.
try to break a bison. Nah, they're just gonna take off. What else? What else?
Oryx.
Comments?
Talk about oryx.
Oryx. Has anyone heard of an oryx? Do you know that they are trying to?
1914 was the last one in Poland.
Right, we could spin yak fiber and knit. Oh my gosh, couldn't we? They're so cool. Oryx, or a kind of super oxen, and the last one alive was in Poland in 1914, and they're trying to clone them now. Someone else tried to backbreed to get to an oryx, and they were not successful. But they're thinking about trying
How
to.
do you spell it?
Auroch. And they're thinking of, cloning the baby and then putting it in a modern cow of some kind and having her birth one out. We have neighbors that raise yaks. They're strong but not extremely tall, right? Auroch. And then I did a video. It was in a video. I talked
Has
about
an S at the end of it.
Russians and I think Norwegians were using moose as milk animals, like domesticated the baby moose and then raised them up by hand so
I
that
can't imagine domesticating a moose.
as an adult they don't mind being around the people. They actually kind of imprinted on the people. And so on these moose farms, the moose are allowed to just wander wherever. If someone's walking down a pathway and the moose wants to follow you, you just let them follow you. Or if you're going into one of the buildings, you just let the moose follow you in there. You have no confrontation. They're fascinating videos. Yeah, so would love that. Okay, so we talked about the soup for if the virus got bad. Oh,
You should talk about all the other stuff we bought when we bought the suit.
what other stuff did we buy?
We went to the medicine aisle, remember?
Oh, yeah, we got
NyQuil, NyQuil,
Yeah, we got-
Tylenol, Motrin, thermometers.
moose will put a whooping on people. They will kill you. Yeah, I mean in the wild, moose are dangerous, but these meese were domesticated. They took the babies, and they raised them by hand. And just watch the videos. They are very domesticated, and very seldom do they have any problem. Okay, so we also went, when we got the soup, we went to the first aid aisle and we bought the last thermometer there. That was the kind you just beep, 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 digital one that way, not the roll on your forehead thermometer. We bought Dayquil and NyQuil and Mucinex and those kind of meds. Someone said garlic, black elderberry, and zinc. Bottle babies make for docile babies.
Oh, you bought a Sambuca too, right?
Yeah, I bought some Sambuca. We have elderberry tincture, but it's at our other place. I know a zookeeper.
I'll never starve.
So the Wuhan virus. Tell me what you guys have seen lately about that. Great news shooting the bull, but it's dinner time. Hey, Michelle, it's good to see you. Earl's daughter. Maybe seeing you again soon. Kind of partial.
A new name. Did you hear that?
Who?
The World Organization. They're trying to come up with an easier to say name. It'll be out within a week.
Trade you 5 potatoes for a moose burger. Pastor said the World Health Organization is going to, within the week, come out with a new name for this epidemic because it's
Novel
just
coronavirus.
right. Novel coronavirus is just too much. Blah blah blah. There is a case reported in Wisconsin now. Mortality is vague. Yes, you and I had a little bit of a discussion of that. I did see my first person in my town wearing a mask. Oh, I think it's going to become, I think wearing a mask is going to become more normal as more people get it.
And that means we're going to go out less.
And we've already, I think we hadn't gone out in about 2 weeks. We went out when we did our shopping trip and just bought a bunch of stuff.
Stay home!
Because we didn't want to go out. And we've got the Purell that we're taking with us everywhere. I found it really interesting. I got 74 looks on...
Kung flu, 2 cruise ships in quarantine.
Yeah, the cruise ships quarantined. I put that on Twitter. Somebody said, you know, there's 3,700 people on the one ship off the Japanese coast. And they had one confirmed case, a guy from Hong Kong who got on the cruise halfway through it. And then they quarantined the ship off the coast. And I said, there you go. That's how 3,700 people got coronavirus. When you are in a enclosed space like that, because it's a very specialized thing on a cruise ship. You've got all these cabins right next to each other. Everybody has a bathroom, but no one has a kitchen. Excuse me. So everybody has to go to communal spaces to eat. And if you're not gonna
pass the peas.
If you're gonna try to quarantine the ship, you can tell everyone to stay in their cabin, but then somehow you're going to have to get food to them. And not only that, the air, like air ducts and the air conditioning and all that stuff is all one unit on the ship. It's not like each apartment has its own individual thing. Their ductwork and everything else is all communal. And so you get one sick guy, they said
floating petri dishes.
Right, it's a floating petri dish, and it went from one guy to 10.
It'll go to 100.
And it'll go to 100, and then it'll wind up making them all sick. And what they ought to do with these ships...
Jump off the ship and swim to shore. That's what I'd do.
No, you wouldn't,
yes,
Pastor.
I would.
You're not jumping off the thing and swimming to shore. Now
you're
going
to you and I are getting off this ship. Forget
gonna,
that. We're out of here. We're swimming to the shore of
If you
Japan.
jump off a cruise ship, it kills you.
Konnichiwa! Hi!
The
Don't touch
fall
your mustache.
kills you. He's talking nonsense.
No, we're gonna.
What
no,
they
you
should
can
have
jump off a ship. No problem.
50-foot fall.
I jumped 40.
Well, I know a lady who jumped 32 and broke her collarbone just entering the water. I think it's really
I'll show
dangerous.
you how to do it right, sweetie. Don't worry, I'll take care of you. We're
Whatever.
getting off this ship.
You're getting
this
off
floating
topic.
Petri dish.
Quit.
We're out of here. Hold your nose. Let's go.
Quit hijacking my
Sorry.
live stream. Trying to make a point here.
I'm sorry.
It's a floating petri dish. The best thing you should do is get them all off and quarantine them individually somewhere. By keeping them all on the ship, you're pretty much guaranteeing it's going to go through the whole ship because of the food situation. You've got this staff who's got to continue cooking and vacuuming and doing whatever else they do on the ship and going to each individual place, room, cabin, and either leaving the food there and picking the dishes up or, knocking on the door and handing it to them or whatever. I mean, it's a floating petri dish, just like they said, and it's going to make these cases, it's like they're all in there together. They're all going to get it. And now you've got 3,700 people with this virus. What are you going to do then? Keep them living on that ship? Because the ship can only hold so much people flushing toilets before that becomes an issue too. They're even going to pollute the water around it, or they're going to need a ship to come up there and suck that stuff out and dump it somewhere else. I mean, it's just a nightmare. Over to bus. What are they saying?
Westfield Forge said, you know what goes good with coronavirus?
A Lyme?
Lyme disease.
Oh my goodness. Look into the videos with who? Doctor who?
Francis Boyle, if you haven't caught them already concerning...
Well, I've already looked into Dr. Paul Cottrell's video on where he said the genome looked like SARS bat stuff and then a bit of HIV and then the SARS bat stuff. And the HIV was a protein specifically designed to help enter other cells and and get this thing easier to spread. So if there's anything else above that that needs saying, say it. What else have you heard? I was listening to NPR this morning, which I don't normally do, but there were these horrible songs on these other channels. I think something that many don't realize is that each
of us carries our own bacteria. Combine that with whatever is circulating at the moment, there are going to be some mutations and it will spread.
Well, it mutates anyway, Wendy. It's not a bacteria, it's a virus, and viruses mutate because they're not their own individual organism. They don't have like a heart and a lungs and all that. They're just a little mass of cells, and they have to have a host in order to replicate. So they float around and then attach themselves, puncture another cell, and then go in it and use its mechanizations to grow. Dr. Paul Cottrell is not a doctor. Okay, so
But he plays one on YouTube.
Right, but he plays one on YouTube. That's fine. I mean, it's obvious that this virus is different than SARS, because SARS spread sort of quickly, but only had like 300 deaths overall. MERS the same. This is spreading much faster, and people are getting sick quick.
Somebody said he's a doctor, just not an MD.
Okay, maybe
PhD.
Maybe he's a biology doctor, or maybe he's a
Piled higher and deeper.
microbiology doctor, or just a science doctor or something. Whatever. Anyway, I was listening to NPR, and they had a good 2 or 3 hours with different people talking. One person was a science journalist, done a lot of research on viruses, just came out with a book. And then a young girl called in, and she said, the death rates are not right. And the journalist, who was the person hosting the show, said, upon what facts do you base this opinion? And she said, well, I have a friend who lives in Shanghai, and that friend said that their ERs are full, their hospitals are full, and people are dying because there are no beds in the hospital.
Move to strike, Your Honor. Hearsay.
So they're dying in their homes, and then people don't notice that they've died there, and they do not become part of the official rolls. And she was in Shanghai. Shanghai is not Wuhan. So, I mean, that person kind of has a point. When you've got so many people, and they built that 1,000-bed hospital or whatever, there are still going to be people who are sick at home and passing away at home that no one's noticing right away. I think. They can't be correct too many unknown factors this early on, regardless of truth or fudging the numbers. And I agree. And that doesn't even matter. I mean, the numbers of dead could be a lot higher. But even if the mortality rate is small, say 15%, I think it's less than that. I think that it's supposed to be like 2%. 2% of the entire Chinese country is a lot of dead people. That's all I'm saying. And if it goes to other countries, the more it spreads, the more that number will go up, regardless if it's 2% of 10 people.
I want to see the numbers coming out of first world countries. Those are numbers we can play with. And right now, how many people have died in first world countries?
I don't know.
None.
How many people are now sick in America?
I don't know, what, 9?
I think it's 12 and 121 people under observation.
Under observation, observation.
Plus, weren't there 2 airplanes full of people coming over from China?
There's 3 here now.
That would
500 people.
500
but they're all
people.
in quarantine.
They're all quarantined on military bases. But they could have it too. And some German woman had it and escaped, right? She was at the hospital.
She went home, though. But yeah, she escaped. They got her. They brought her back. How'd you like to be the cop that had to go arrest the infected person?
Yeah. My husband works in Guyana on a drill ship. There's a large number of people. What is that person saying, honey?
People on there, that plus all the airports he goes through getting to and from work, I'm ready for him to come home for good. I think that's a good idea at this time, Susan. Time to take a vacation or something.
Right.
I've worked on drill ships and drill rigs. That is very close quarters.
Very close quarters. We agree with you, Susan. Time for him to go. All right, 12 in the U.S., but there's 500 people in quarantine.
Yeah, well, that's just out of an abundance of caution.
Not my point at all. If all those 500 quarantined people, nobody got sick amongst the staff taking care of them, that would be a good thing. But the chances are it won't be that way, and that some of the staff people will get sick, and it just keeps growing from there. Did you guys know about this German person escaping the hospital? She left at 3, and they didn't find her till the next morning, right?
Yeah, like 10:30.
So she was out for 7 hours.
But she went home and stayed home.
How do we know she didn't
Well, she
come
probably
in?
stopped at the 7-Eleven for some beers and, you know.
She may have gotten a cup of coffee
She went
somewhere.
dancing at the disco.
She didn't dance at the disco, but she walked. She could have come in contact with other people.
Taxi you then got with somebody else.
And this flus can be contacted or contracted from contact of a surface that someone sick has touched. So if someone came in here and coughed on my chair and then I sat down in it, I can get the flu from that.
Stay away from McDonald's.
Excuse me, that's why you need to wash your hands all the time, because this is where you're picking that germ up. Right here, these little bacteria gatherers. Excuse me. People are surviving it. They are surviving it. The one couple, and I forget, I think they were up in Santa Clara, California or something, who were self-quarantining at home, suddenly took a turn for the worse, though. See, it has the potential in any case of that person getting a bacterial infection on top of it and getting pneumonia or strep or something, and that just makes it that much worse. I would rather be safe than sorry. We have been staying in.
Since last week, it's caused some problems, but the health of my family is my biggest concern. This isn't an I'll do better next time thing.
Exactly. PNAC report from year 2000, advanced form of biowarfare that targets specific genotypes, politically useful tool. The economics of it.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that up, William. It's going to be...
That's why we bought, like, thermometers and stuff, because you might not be able to get them. They're all made in China.
Right. That's why we went out and bought thermometers and stuff, because so much stuff is made in China nowadays. And their manufacturing is going to be affected by how many sick people there are. And they supply everything to everybody.
No,
Walmart.
iPhones aren't being made right now.
iPhones are not being made right now. I think Hyundai said they're not making cars right now because they're waiting on parts.
I thought Hyundai... Oh, because they're getting parts from China?
Yes, because they're getting parts from China. Exactly. PJF might find the Israeli News Live channel interesting by Steve Noonan. Say goodbye to inexpensive Chinese products.
Good. Let's bring Made in America back.
Exactly. So on NPR, they were complaining that Mike Pence and some other person have already gone out to businessmen in America and said, hey, this Chinese thing may offer opportunities for factories to open up here again.
Woo-hoo! MAGA.
And NPR was trying to say, oh, that's xenophobic. That's, that's racist against the Chinese.
I want Americans building things that we buy.
Except that we wouldn't have a choice. If China's manufacturing goes down, somebody has to step into the gap. Because Walmart doesn't want to have to stop selling, candles or those dishes.
Spatulas.
Or spatulas. Walmart wants to continue making its money, and Hyundai wants to continue making cars, and American businessmen don't like assets that are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Someone will have to step in that gap if China's manufacturing goes down, and that is an opportunity for Americans or anyone.
Because right now we can't compete with slave wages.
Right, we can't compete with slave wages right now, but it's not
Kill
the
the
same
slaves
thing.
with the flu or whatever, and the next thing you know,
Honey,
I'm just saying.
seriously. Just saying. Like, you don't really have a choice if they stop producing. Tax the hell out of the imports.
I'm with you. I am not a free trader. Tax that stuff.
Tax
Tariffs.
all the imports.
Tariffs.
But if you're a entrepreneur, you might be thinking about how to start making,
I know a
plastic
blacksmith
straws.
that can make stuff.
Yes, we know a blacksmith.
I know 2 blacksmiths.
We know 2 blacksmiths that could start filling in that gap right now. Get those forges up and running and start making nails and clasps.
That's right. Westhold Forge. I need 400 nails by this weekend, please.
That's right, Westhold Forge. We need those deck screws, bud. We're still building stuff here on the mountain. We'd like it with a T25 6-headed deal so we can use our power drills on it. That's a really good point. And then another point the NPR people made that I thought was, worth looking at was, what's the premier's name? Xi Jinping? Xi Jinping? I think that's his last name. He requested to the Communist Party there that he be given autonomous powers to, act more like a president and less like a premier of a communist nation. And they granted them. And he had 4 planks, and I don't remember what they are, that he was trying to do. And he hasn't done very well at any of them. And the coronavirus is just the last thing he's having to deal with, that there's murmurings in the political arena there that he's not doing real well, and they may seize power back from him. That's going to cause a change in China as well. If they go back to a full-on communist regime and cut back on the capitalism because of the coronavirus, I mean, their economy really could crash. And then what happens to North Korea too? Isn't China the only big country that trades with North Korea right now?
Yeah, pretty much.
Right? I mean, there goes all their stuff too, and then Kim Jong-un is going to have some problems as well as Walmart and everybody else. So it's a deal. It's definitely a deal.
Something wrong. That's what the Kraken said. The Kraken's kind of funny.
Hi, Sister Kate. Please pray for me. We build the best weapons.
We build good weapons. I don't know necessarily the best.
All right. Florida tourists, I think you might want to be a little bit more specific. Oh my gosh, you didn't know. We are not devolving into
Right,
Florida.
into third grade humor. No,
Come
third
on.
grade humor.
Come on, you guys. Elevate. I do believe I'll stay away from the flea
A lot of people are saying
markets.
Chinese economic collapse.
Yes.
What's going to happen? What will China do to prevent their economy from collapsing? Think about that. What's the biggest historical way to lift
You
your
attack
economy?
someone else.
War.
You go to war if your economy is collapsing, so that the war machine
Carries you through.
Creates supply and demand, manufacturing and everything like that. That's definitely one of the ways people go for it. And who would they declare war on?
South China Sea, Taiwan.
Taiwan?
Taiwan?
That wouldn't take very long though.
We would get involved though. No, it would.
Taiwan would be a big deal because we would get involved.
We haven't seen enough confirmed cases in the U.S. to really know exactly what this looks like. I agree.
Hey, Amy Patterson, shalom.
Varied from patient to patient.
Yep, we still have to keep our.
JRM. Somebody just sent me a text. Go on.
I don't know. We still have to keep our eye on how it is unfolding in our own country. The fact that the guy who got on that cruise ship came from Hong Kong, and Hong Kong is bordering China, right?
I'm sorry, what?
Hong Kong borders mainland China.
Yeah, they're part of China, really.
Really? And they have not shut that border down.
They haven't?
No. And that's why the Chinese, or
Well, then Hong Kong's going to be a bunch of skyscrapers full of dead people.
the Hong Kong health workers were rioting, were refusing to go to work because they had not shut that border down yet. And that means more people from Hong Kong,
Amy Patterson said shalom.
I saw that, Shalom, are going to start infecting other people. Like their country's going to start getting more infected people because people from China can still freely go back and forth. And then somebody else just brought up India. India will probably step in the production gap before U.S. manufacturers. Well, S. Walker, that's a good point. Maybe they will. Their war minister or whatever his title is on record as what? Right now, China's central bank pumping money into banks to sustain liquidity because their economy is suffering. Convenient way to kill a movement in Hong Kong, a virus, but it started in mainland first. 14-day incubation. I think it's already everywhere. I wouldn't go as far to say that, Westhold Forge, but I would say
He could be right, though. I've been thinking about that. You know, if we wait till it comes to our county before we lock the gates,
Yeah.
it could be way too late. Because by the time it's in our county, it's been around for at least 14 days. See what I'm saying?
yeah.
And in that 14 days, what did we do? Go to Walmart, go here, go there. One of your viewers here said they're quarantining now.
Yeah, I think Chasing Life said they're kind of quarantining now. I really
We're
do.
definitely limiting.
Yeah, we're definitely limiting. We have, what did Patriot Nurse just say?
I don't know. I
Just told about the ineffective non-quarantine. She'll love life on the east coast of Canada. You've already started taking precautions. And a case in Wisconsin.
Is she a Newfie?
Are you a Newfie, Jill
Or a
Love Life?
Quebecois?
Or a Quebecois? I think we just wait and see. I mean, if it gets to California, Nevada, Kentucky.
Yeah, I think we'll see it break out probably.
We've had an exceptionally severe flu pneumonia season already. Can only diagnose if tested. Otherwise, this virus mimics common seasonal illnesses. That's
which
true.
we've had.
Yeah, we've had it already. And it's true. This flu season is the worst in a decade. So there's been a lot of A and B already, in the soup. Lots of people already sick in our area with the influenza. And it remains to be seen if that would give you any kind of
influenza.
We got the influenza. We got the we got the grip. If that would give us an antibodies against this thing. It's a mess for sure. There are confirmed cases within 15 miles of my home.
So see, here's what
Oh
I would
yeah,
do with
you
this.
shut down Chasing Life. If it was 15
You've got a lot of
miles
people
away.
talking about how potentially bad this is going to be.
Yes.
What are they doing about it?
Right. What are we doing about it? What are you doing about this potential craziness? It said this bug can live for over 20 days
what are you
on
doing about
surfaces. So what are you doing about it? I tried on a live stream recently, Caprine Supply, which is a goat vet kind of website, used to carry this disinfectant. Cost $9 and it was a spray and it would kill like everything, HIV, everything. And we bought a couple of bottles of that and I tried to let everybody know. And then Caprine Supply website is completely changed. I don't know if they had to downsize or what. Stocked them on masks, Purell. I caught it bad near the same time y'all did. I still haven't gotten over the cough. Yeah, and I think his, fanatical hand washing, absolutely. I think his dad said something about your lungs are going to take a while to recover and not.
My dad told us our lungs would take up to 6 weeks just to get totally healthy again after the last flu.
Right, 6 weeks before our lungs would recover from the last flu. So try not to expose yourself to anything else respiratory. And we are trying hard to limit, our exposure to possible sources of things like strep or pneumonia or things like that. with building panties. Building pantries. We use SOTU and YOU guard from Melaleuca. Every service I can every day. Eucalyptus in the CPAP. Eucalyptus is wonderful. William, I thought it would be pantries. Thieves oil in the diffuser. On the regular. Give up your smoking habit too. If any of y'all are cigarette smokers, give that thing up.
So here's the thing: this flu doesn't kill everybody.
No,
Or
it does
this
not
virus
kill
doesn't
everybody.
kill
No,
everybody.
the virus does
So
not.
going into it as healthy as possible is important.
Right. You want to be as healthy as you can as it comes your way. You want to be, super up on your vitamins and be active.
Well rested, well hydrated.
Well rested, well hydrated. That was another thing about the flu that we read. It said that you want to keep.
I'm hydrating. Would you like to hydrate?
I don't want to hydrate. Look what he's hydrating with. This is not. Get out of here with that. That you want to have your water. You want to stay hydrated. You want to keep fluids and juices coming through your system, tea and things like that, because they help carry out waste products from your cells. So you want to keep that moving. You want to have water and fluids intaking all the time. And zinc, that Zicam stuff, it works pretty well.
It's the bomb. We bought some of that too.
Did we?
Yeah.
I remember the first Zicam I bought, it had the Q-tip with the stuff on it, and they said, like, put it in your nose, and I thought, this is just wrong. You don't put stuff. No, you do. It works very good. We are doing elderberry syrup. Ready to use to put lots and lots of food away. I just worry about our 6-month-old. You are pretty worried. Pharma, are you breastfeeding? Because if your 6-month-old is still getting breast milk, then if you have antibodies, your 6-month-old will get the antibodies. Also, our daughter-in-law, they have about a 6-9-month-old, and Walmart carried, it was a very strange name, Dr. Zimboni or something like that, but it was an organic kids cough medicine, so that you don't have to give them something like Dayquil. And she was using that because they got the flu. They got the flu from us. Shame on us as grandparents. We gave the flu to our grandkids. And they did okay with it. You know what I mean? Like, I think, even though it had influenza A, I think it was kind of mild.
Men feel it worse than women.
We'll get into that in a minute. I do think it was kind of a mild form, and our grandkids did okay with it. They had coughs and they had the fever too, but they did all right. Okay, Storm Chaser, did you get yours tested? Did you find out if you had A or B? Okay, We Tree Bonsai says men are wimps. Scientists have done research and they have proven that men feel the effects of a cold more severely than a woman. And for the longest time, they didn't get a lot of sympathy for it. But if you go on YouTube and type in there men with flu, there are some hilarious videos about men with flu and people catering to them. It's really hilarious. There is a Zicam with elderberry gummy that I saw on clearance markdown. I bought all 5 remaining bottles.
We treat. Very good. Here, that gets a clap.
Nice job, We Tree. But you want to also think about, let's just pretend. It's very good for planning stages and what-ifing issues. Let's pretend that coronavirus is around and you have gotten it.
Uh-oh.
You want to think about your daily life as well. Just like Wuhan is now not the same place and it's harder to get food and no one's out and all that. You want to think about how you're going to be sick. You're going to be laying in bed. You're going to be coughing. How are you going to pay your bills? How are you going to clean? Who do you have to take care of? What is your daily schedule? Do you have sick leave if you work? And if you don't work, do you have a lot of outside activities that you've signed up for? Do you go swimming at the Y every Tuesday and, play bunco on Wednesday? Do you have a church group that you see? Add humidity and the virus will live longer. Right. You don't want humidity. You don't want to have a humidifier going because you don't want your lungs breathing in warm, moist air because that's perfect for pneumonia to grow. You want your air to be kind of dry. And I was thinking about Mucinex is used to dry your mucus up. But Set Apart Homestead brought up, and I tried and it worked, blackberry root tea.
Oh yeah,
is an astringent.
that's how we found him.
And it dries up, swelling and mucus kind of situations going on in your body. So if you have blackberry bushes, go pull one up, get the root, clean it off, dry it out, and get ready to use that as a tea to drink while you're sick. How about cool air with a humidifier? I'm Stephen Wilson. I am not a doctor. I'm not sure. I just know this. Bacteria like dark, warm, moist places. What about MERS coronavirus in the Middle East dry climate? It didn't go very far. MERS and SARS both didn't go very far. Excuse me.
Been on for about an hour.
Have I? Oh, okay. So I'm going to have to get off.
Oh yeah, you've been over about 71 minutes.
Yeah. One reason is because it drains my battery and we haven't had much sun, so the solar is not great. Also transmitted fecal matter. That's right, because flu can have stomach, you can have stomach flu too. You can have diarrhea and vomiting with a regular flu as well as with this coronavirus. And so you could get it from bodily excretions. Did he answer if he had influenza A or B?
He didn't get it tested. He assumes it's A.
Okay. All right. Well, guys, keep your eyes on, not the prize, but keep watching what's going on and keep prepping and make plans for if you guys go down or if it's in your area. What are you going to be doing? All right. West on Forge, always a pleasure. Wee Tree, thank you for showing up and moderating. Paula, shalom. Good to see you. Same Amy, same Chasing Life. Michigan Prepper, Spaz Mama, good night, bless you. Excuse me, William H, good night, and Eledwin Mayer, and Kraken, and Overdie Bus, Jill Love Life, and Patriot Prepper, Grandma Ginger's Farm, shalom, shalom, bless you guys. Until next time, Okie Storm Chaser, Renee Stump, shalom.